Hi again and welcome back to episode 3, and let's get these babies unmolded. So as you can see, it's really quite simple. You just pull back and your coaster will simply pop out. And there you go. And look how lovely that is. And you can see that the sides need a little bit of tidying up, and I'll show you that in the next step. So for the plasticine, just turn it over and peel it back. So remember that this is now completely reusable. Look, it's stuck on fast. And just re-clean the bottom before you want to use it again, and then you can pour another coaster on. If you wanted to add some more of this silicone to this same piece, just clean this down with some alcohol or a wet wipe. Make sure it's completely clean and flat, and you could either use the plasticine again or make yourself some more silicone molds. When it comes to this, it's simple as just peeling it off the sides like this. And the edges will need to be cleaned up with some soap and water and a little scrubbing brush. And I'll show you how to do that in a moment. And as you can see, this is now reusable. All you need to do is fold it back up, add it to the rest, which I have some here, and then you can make many more molds with this. Before cleaning, just use the same stick as you used for pouring, and just scrape off. Be very gentle not to scrape off the actual front. Just scrape off the excess. It doesn't matter if there's some left on. And that's just about clean. Reuse all these bits up, gather them up, and again you can add it to your leftover plasticine. Take this downstairs to your sink and just scrub it off with some very warm water and some soap. You want to give it a quick wash, making sure that you get rid of most of the blue, and do not scrub on the top. So for sanding the edges, I like using these handy little sanding blocks. I buy them from my DIY store. You can detach them and with Velcro, and they come with these pack of 220, which is quite a fine grit sanding paper, and you stick it back on. Just a little safety point: when sanding down resin, please do protect your lungs from dust particles with an appropriate dust mask. We can take the sanding block and just have a look around to see if there's really any sharp edges. Use your fingers to feel. I can feel that there are some there, and very gently scrape down. Keep feeling with your finger to make sure there's no more sharp edges. And then go all the way around your coaster doing the same thing. Do be careful not to touch the top either end of your coaster, because you can see this is a really cool effect it's given, and you could use that side or you could use that side, it's up to you. So go gently in little movements until you've gone all the way around. So often on the top end of the coaster there is this slight lip that happens, and it happens some of the time, and this usually happens if you don't go right up to the top of the coaster mold. But that's not a problem. You can either take advantage of this and use it for a top coat, and that means that none of the resin will fall around off the sides, or you can just slightly sand back very gently all the way along and just flatten that edge slightly. You'll be gilding on the top of it anyway, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. And once again, do be careful not to scratch the top of your coaster. And I like these little wet wipes just to tidy up and to wipe off any of that dust. So that edge is now nicely flattened. And I'm going to use that edge there. I'm going to take advantage of that flat edge that I've created with my sanding block to apply my gilding. Now you can apply the gilding on both ends, because as you can see you can decide which one you like the best. So when it comes to gilding, there are different products you can use. I'm using liquid leaf. This is a gilding liquid. You can also use gilding pens. I have this liquid chrome one when I want silver, but I do know that they come in different gilding colours such as gold and brass, etc. But I've never used them, so I can't recommend them for you. And sometimes I use a Posca pen. So you need something quite thick. This is a 4mm. So for gilding I'm using this liquid leaf, and you basically need a soft paintbrush and give this a shake. And then I'm going to just dip my paintbrush in, and for the sides I am simply going to go around gently so that you don't get any on the front end or the back end, and you're going to go all the way around. And to do the little gilding rim along the edge, dip your paintbrush in, and this requires a steady hand, and gently swipe the edges of your coasters, and equally you want to go all the way around. And these coasters can take, the gilding of these coasters can take almost a day to dry, so you want to leave them somewhere without touching them, don't fiddle around with them, and leave them to dry completely overnight before you can actually touch them. So if you make any mistakes such as this bit here, I usually get one of these earbud or these Q-tips and some acetone. And acetone gets rid of this pretty well. So you just dip a bit inside and then very gently wipe off. And there, that's all gone. So that one's done now, and to wash my paintbrush off I'm going to just put some acetone in a cup and then just rinse it off. You just want to clean it off, otherwise it will ruin your brush. And there's your easy cleanup for your paintbrushes. So this is how easy it is the next day to clean up. You just lift these up and you can see that none of them are stuck. They all come off really easily, and all of these can be used again. Your cups are now completely dry and flat at the bottom, which means you can pour some more colour in for your next pour. You just stack them up and put them away, and that's how easy cleanup is. So the gilding has dried overnight and these coasters are now ready. And you can tell that they're rock hard, they're no longer bending, and that's how you know that they've cured properly. So as you can see, I've got two sides to them. Look at that in the sun, isn't that great? They're almost slightly transparent, and of course you can choose both sides. And now that the gilding has dried, I've got a wet wipe here, and just to show you that if you wipe, they should be totally clean. So I sometimes put these pads underneath the coasters, so they're sticky on one side and you stick them on the back. But because I like both of these faces, I'm going to leave them as is, and I'll let the user decide which to use. So now on to your questions for this Q&A segment. So I've received a lot of very good questions and I'll do my best to answer them. Why do some people put their resin in hot water? So if it's a very cold climate, or if your room is cold, the bottles of resin may become crystallized and kind of resemble sugar or salt granules. Does this mean that the resin is bad? No, just means that you need to melt the crystals by placing the bottles closed into a hot water bath. So leave it there for about 5 minutes and your resin will be liquid again and you can use it as normal. If your room is a normal temperature and your resin has no crystals inside, you do not need to do this. So taking care of your coasters and cleaning them. Use the soft side of a sponge to clean with some water, and then you can use either a microfiber cloth or some kitchen paper to clean it off. Never use the scratchy side of a sponge because it will scratch the resin, and scratched resin is impossible to get rid of. Can I put food on coasters? So the resin I showed you in this tutorial is non-toxic and I put food on it all the time. However, please remember that resin is a form of plastic, so you do not ever want to put food on that you need to cut with a knife, such as a cake or cheese, because you will scratch the resin. What if the resin is not hard after 24 hours? This happens when you either haven't mixed the correct quantities or you haven't mixed for the full 3 minutes. And sometimes when it's particularly cold weather, my resin cures slowly. So to be sure your resin is hard before throwing it away, leave it somewhere warm for a week and see how it is then. What silicone do I use for the molds? Use only 100% bathroom silicone caulk. If you use another type of caulk, the resin may stick to it. My gold pigment moves around the centre. What do? Wait until the end of your working time to apply the metallic or gold leaf to the centre of your molds. This way the resin has set up a little bit and the metallics won't move around. Do I seal the gilding? I don't, but if you're worried you can apply a thin coat of clear varnish to the gilding, but be aware that depending on the brand of gold leafing you may tarnish the gold and it will lose its shine. Which gun to blow for bubbles would you recommend for a beginner? For blowing out bubbles, you can tell my preference is a torch lighter. The reason I like this is that heat guns blow out air at the same time as the heat, and this can push the resin around and mess up the design. So I prefer a torch lighter and I use short, quick blasts, and then the pattern stays in place. Can the design look the same front and back? In general, no. As you can see from this tutorial, when you place the resin inside of the mold, some of that resin sinks down and then it creates its own effects. So this is the end of this short tutorial for beginners. Hope you've enjoyed it, hope you've learned something, and have fun making your own. See you in the next tutorial. Bye!